work session for the Council of the City of Norfolk will now commence. Mr. Roberts, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of City Council. At this time, I'd like to take a few minutes and review the proposed agenda for this afternoon's work session meeting. The first presentation will be an annual report from the Tree Commission. Mr. Mike Brzezowski, the Chair of the Tree Commission, will be presenting the report. That will be followed by a report from Police Chief Mark Talbot, who joins us to provide the Norfolk Police Department year-end report for 2024. That presentation will be followed by Mr. Robert Hudson, Vice President with Heartland Construction, along with Mel Price, CEO and Principal of WPA Architects. They will be giving an informational presentation and update on the Maury High School CIP project. Again, that presentation is informational today with no decisions for City Council. We do have one item that I believe requires consideration of a closed session motion following that. So without any objection or modification, I would like to call up Mr. Brzezowski, the Chair of the Tree Commission, for his report.
Without objection, welcome, Mike.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
To city leadership, thanks for this opportunity to talk to you about the Tree Commission. I wouldn't want to spend a 73-degree day anywhere else but here with you. Next slide, please. 2024 for the commission, we sort of started with a new thing, which was an actual written out annual plan. The reason why we started with an annual plan was we have 9 commissioners, all volunteers, and so the bandwidth of opportunities to do work really needs, in our minds, needed to be really specific and targeted. So we started with an annual plan with goals and objectives. We had 14 goals and objectives. We set measurable metrics for those goals. I'm happy to say we met 93% of those. I'm sorry, on the main table here, there is also a copy of our annual plan, and in the back of it is our annual report to the council as well. Part of that was focusing the issue. We picked certain goals for the year. One of them was formally organizing the commission to do Arbor Day. At one point, we had a single person managing the whole Arbor Day efforts. We broke that down into 4 major functional groups to manage the Arbor Day efforts, and then we instituted that program for 2024. One of the other things we set as one of our goals was enhancing collaboration with other organizations. We do a lot of work with other organizations already, but we wanted to kind of broaden that reach, so we started working with Norfolk Arts. We worked with them to identify a local Norfolk artist to do the Arbor Day poster this year. And our goal with that program is to engage with the local artists of Norfolk and have them do the poster each year. And hopefully one of our reach goals is to do it with the Norfolk schools and see if we can't get students to put in their ideas for posters and use that as a poster in the future. We also had a representative on the Norfolk 2050 working group. And then we also did other formal organizational outreach, which is also in the report. We also look to expand our community outreach through social networks. We set a goal of an increase of 50% of following on our Facebook and Instagram. We were over 100% increase in the Facebook, and we had an 18% increase in Instagram. We did things on those like Trees of the Month, park locations in Norfolk, announcements of different activities that were going on. And for the first time, we actually put out a request to the residents of Norfolk to nominate folks for our annual awards for Project Leader and Volunteer of the Year. And all 3 of the folks that we gave awards to this year were actually nominated by the residents of Norfolk and not through the normal commission. We also worked on resident support. We actually had one of our commissioners have a neighbor reach out to her. She had this massive tree in front of her house. It was completely wrapped in vines and it was killing the tree off. And so we took a weekend on a Saturday and visited the lady and mentioned we cut the vine back. Steve Trail, who's the city forester, came out, walked us through the process. The folks that are on the commission, we have 3 that are with the botanical garden. They did the actual cutting of the vine and then educated the resident on how to cut vines, what to treat it with so it won't grow back. And then Steve's team came in that week during the work week and they pulled all the rest of the vine down to actually improve the community look and to make the tree survive. The negative side to that is every other neighbor in that neighborhood talked to Steve and wanted him to do the same thing for all their trees. And then last thing we are looking towards for this year is working on a better engagement with Civic League. We don't do a lot with the independent civic leagues, so we've developed an initial briefing to give each of them. And this year, in 2025, having developed that briefing, our goal for 2025 is to conduct outreach to the different civic leagues and have conversations with them about the Tree Commission, urban forest, and any other issues that may come up. that concludes my formal part. I'd like to close with just commenting on Steve Traylor, who's our sort of guidance counselor, if you will, for the commission through the Parks and Rec. My 30 years of managing and working with people, Stephen Traylor is an amazing human being. A fantastic employee. He's the type of person, as a person who pays taxes, that I want on the payroll. He continues to look to increase his skill sets. He's gone through special training for certain greater certifications. His HR skills with a commission of 9 volunteers are phenomenal, to get 9 volunteers to show up and do things. And I just wanted to say on the record my appreciation to Steve for all his hard work and support to the commission. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Well, that easy. Any questions, comments from Mike? Well, if not, Ms. Johnson.
I would like to say Steve is the very best. He is always willing to answer any questions that you may have. He does the boots on the ground and visits different neighborhoods. And he stands out there with you and takes you through the process as he did with me. And if you say, just give it to me straight, he's going to give it to me straight. But along those lines, he's going to make his recommendations to you as well. So you're absolutely right about Mr. Trier, and thank you for all that you do within Tree.
Much appreciated.
I think I know this tree. Where is this tree?
I forget the actual location. It's over by the train station area that they just rebuilt.
Well, Mike, again, on behalf of the council and the entire city, we're very grateful to the commission and to your staff and all that you do, especially around Arbor Day and tree adoptions. And a lot of us participated in various programs and the work that you do with the residents and the master gardeners. But more importantly, the expert care that you and your team do each and every day. I mean, you not only do you care, but you study the trees and you manage, maintain trees, intros, and other wooded plants on behalf of our city. So we're very grateful and thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right.
Mr. Roberts.
So we have a presentation from Norfolk Police Department. I'd like to call Chief Talbot up.
Welcome, Chief.
Good afternoon. First I'd like to offer the Norfolk Police Department's condolences to Chief Newdigate and the Virginia Beach Police Department, as well as the families of Officers Reese and Gervin. So with me are my executive team, Ms. Amanda Harvey, Deputy Chief Maslow, Assistant Chiefs Williams, Naughton, Howard, and Captains Marcus and Captain White. This is our 2024 crime update. Crime fell last year in the city, and the men and women of the police department deserve 100% of the credit for that. It's a much smaller police department than at other times, but performed exceptionally well. So I want to thank the men and women of the organization. Done it through some really difficult circumstances. Here's our year-to-date citywide crime stats. I have incidentally broken down by wards, and we can send those to you if you'd like those as well. Some of the highlights: homicides were down 12% last year, and down 42% from 2022. Incidentally, they're down 60% year-to-date, so we're again trending in a positive direction. Our detective division, headed by Chief Naughton, did an incredible job with an 85% homicide clearance rate, which is exceptional. Rape was down 17%. Non-fatal shootings were down 40%. Aggravated assaults were down 21%. Robbery was down 13%. And as you see, total violence was down 18%. Still struggling a little bit with property crimes, yet property crimes are moving in the right direction, down 3% overall. Burglaries were down 14%. Slight increase in larcenies, up 6%, largely driven by ABC stores. Stolen vehicles down 40%. Total crime was down 5%. This slide displays our 3-year crime trend. You can see over the course of 3 years, we've reduced crime each year consecutively. 2024 figures are 27% lower than 2022. This is property crime. Again, 2024 figures are 25% lower than 2022. We're back trending below the rates that we were at prior to the pandemic. Violent crime, we've made our most progress since 2022. We're down 37% from 2 years ago. Staffing the organization, we finally have succeeded in becoming larger and larger for the last 3 years, which has not been the case since about 2018, so we're moving in the right direction. Still have a long way to go. As I stand here now, we have 540 sworn members of the organization. We were at about 535 at this time last year, so trending slightly up. It is a significant challenge to make sure we're pushing in a positive direction as opposed to getting smaller. Our most successful innovation was something that you all put in place in 2021, our referral bonuses. It drives about 40% of the people that we've hired since that point. So it's our best bet in terms of slowly increasing the size of the organization. Some obvious benefits of fully staffing the organization: building trust, legitimacy, and improving officer morale. Trying hard to increase the collaboration with the military. There are a couple of key programs. So we are in the process of working with some folks to specifically target people coming out of the military. We also hear that there are some federal employees that might be looking for work, and we're gonna leverage that as well. Our real-time crime center is another way that we're maximizing technology. We've talked a lot about that. It was staffed in March of 2024. We are almost fully staffed now. We have one sworn position that we have yet to fill. Other than that, we have a sergeant, 3 officers, 8 analysts that were hired to do that work, and the most recent analyst and the last one started today. Once everybody's fully trained, it'll be a 20-hour-a-day operation. As you know, we took over E911 division in March of last year to engage in some systems and performance improvements. That has been a heavy lift, but again, we're moving in the right direction. 36 vacancies when we took over. There are 19 vacancies now. We anticipate being fully staffed about the end of next month. Our biggest challenge has been reducing call wait time. As you see there, we've driven down the call wait time from 46 seconds when we took over to about 37 seconds. The industry standard is 15 seconds, so we have a ways to go. So far this year, we've trended around 25 seconds, so continue to move in the right direction. Here's a sense of the workload that we're talking about. We field about 400,000+ calls a year. In 2024, all year, we were at 466,000, so that stays relatively consistent over the course of a year. A couple other things that we have going on. A victim services unit with the help of some grant funds, we are doing some work to make sure that we're helping crime victims and the families of crime victims, making sure that we can help deal with the trauma and keep our residents safe. We're hiring a supervisor and 3 non-sworn victim services specialists. And then finally, this is we've looked at this before. Our policing strategy, which includes our vision, that you see there. Our strategic operating principles that drive the operation. And then finally, our goals. We're on target with each one of our goals. We believe we're ahead of schedule to get to 600 in 2026. We ended the year with 37 homicides. Our goal was below 40. 70% clearance rate. We were at 85, as I mentioned previously. Non-fatal shootings were down significantly, 40% versus the 20% that we were aiming for. Leadership training, our Thursday strategy meetings, doing some transitioning to professional staff. Goal number 8, reducing juvenile victims of gun violence, is still in progress. We believe we hit that mark. We are still analyzing because of the way that we capture the data. It's a little bit harder to measure that one. And number 9 is we didn't achieve that goal. That's all I have.
Any questions, comments for the chief? Yes, Mr. Page.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How you doing, Chief?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Right, thank you. Thank you for the condolences to Virginia Beach
Yes, sir.
Department. Our condolences also as a council for the city of Norfolk. One thing that was not mentioned with the numbers dropping, which are trends that are happening nationally, is the impact of violence interrupters, which you guys have brought in and been working tremendously throughout the communities. Are there any specific data points as to that and how that's making a difference in our city?
There are some aspects of public safety that are simply good because it is the right thing to do, and there are other aspects of public safety and how we're doing it that are a little bit easier to measure. It's difficult to precisely quantify the impact of violence interrupters just because of the nature of the work. It is hard. It's very difficult to identify the causal mechanism that is in play when you have our fellow residents out in the community mediating disputes. We believe in it. We believe that it has offered us an additional capacity that we wouldn't have otherwise. As you've alluded to, we've embraced that approach, and we believe that it's helping us drive violence down significantly.
That's a good answer. Second part, are we in the plans of bringing more violent interrupters to more communities around the city?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Yes, Mr. Clanton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you. Just kind of to piggyback on what Councilman Page was answering about the violence interrupters. I think in the beginning you mentioned that the data that we could receive those broken down by our wards, correct?
Yes.
But right now also, just help me to understand here, with our violence interrupters in Norfolk, aren't they particularly located in certain communities?
They focus most of their activity now in particular communities, yes.
So theoretically, we could probably go back and look at the data to see whether or not there's been a reduction in crime in those communities, potentially connected back to whether or not the violence interrupters could have played a part along with what our officers have done.
We could do that. It really wouldn't be accurate to be quite candid with you. Crime reduction doesn't really lend itself to that kind of precision. There are literally thousands of moving pieces, so to attribute crime reduction to injecting something like that into a community really wouldn't be a valid way to assess it. I think it is more a logic model that you want to consider. Does it make sense to tap into social networks within the city to better build our connections with people in the neighborhood and facilitate mediated conflicts? Absolutely, it makes sense.
The second item I have for Chief Talbot was on your goal number 8 on the reduction of juvenile victims of gun violence. Could you just elaborate on some of the things that you're doing, that the police department's doing around that particular goal?
You will see if you pay attention to crime numbers regionally and nationally, different cities will have trends as it relates to juvenile violence that'll vary widely among cities. In our city, what we have done is really take a lot of time focusing resources in the parts of the city where violence is most prevalent. Identify the people that are most vulnerable, tends to be the youngest members of the population, and make sure that we're engaging with that population in ways that don't produce crime all by itself. Making sure that we're working closely with the school district. We meet routinely with the superintendent and her team so that we're able to clearly identify the challenges within the school system. Gun violence within schools in urban communities is largely a function of gun violence in the neighborhoods. So the safer that you can keep a particular neighborhood that's surrounding a school, the more likely it is that you're going to keep every child in that school safe. Those are some of the things, and then also looking to see where juveniles are ending up in terms of victims and offenders in your lethal and non-lethal violence statistics as well, so that we can identify whether or not we're making progress.
Last question. As you were mentioning about the public schools, I know that SRO officers, and I know that you were talking about the challenge, still staffing up. And I know that there is an agreement, MOU, between the school division and the city police department around SRO officers. Are we making progress and trying to move that forward? Make sure we have those officers.
Sure. Well, the most important thing and the answer is yes, unequivocally. But the most important thing that we're doing is we've put our school resource officers under the leadership of Captain White, who's here, and making sure that they are led appropriately, that the behaviors that we're engaging in to reduce crime and keep kids safe is exactly what we want it to be. So we believe that the leadership aspect of our strategy is going to pay the biggest dividends.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Johnson.
So just to follow up on that, our middle schools currently do not have SROs in them. The community resource officers support the schools. It's a big concern that I've heard across my ward and different meetings. And we realize the staffing challenges. First, I should have started off, thank you for the wonderful data that you presented today.
You're welcome.
You guys are doing a great job. It's a thankless job, and we thank you for all that you do and all of our first responders do in the city. So if there's a way to maybe start bringing it back maybe at your larger middle schools, Norview Middle and Blair Middle are larger than 2 of our high schools. And when we talk about that building relationships with the students, and they are really good sometimes at giving information of what's going on in their communities, so that's part of that SRO model. I have an outstanding SRO that has built solid relationships with the students, and so I see that, and I think that that's needed at a younger level, particularly since we are seeing more of our middle schoolers participating in violent crimes. So how we can maybe start implementing that. Maybe we can't do every middle school, but maybe we could start if we have some staffing wiggle room to do that, or even if they just came in during lunch times at all the middle schools. It doesn't have to be full day, but just have some type of presence to be able to interact with the young kids and get that information. I think we needed, as you know, the General Assembly continuously has bills that say that there's going to be mandatory SROs in every school in the state, and maybe some of the people sponsoring that legislation don't understand the staffing issues we have across the state. It's not just Norfolk. So, but if we could do anything to support, I hear that a lot from folks. The stolen vehicle reduction, would you, do you think that the flock cameras had something to do with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And I know it's a sensitive issue. We can talk about it. It's not.
A little bit.
I mean, so everybody knows there's a lawsuit on it, and I think part of this is helping the public understand that because of these staffing issues, we've had to use technology to assist us, and the data is there that shows that this is helping. I think that crime is down at Ocean View Beach Park, where cameras have been installed. Unfortunately, we're just in that time. But I think the more, when I speak at my Civic League meetings and I let them know what this data shows, the public is supportive of this. And I bet you if we did our own polling, it goes against what those few people that have filed the lawsuit believe these are. And I think there's public support for these. In fact, they want more from what I hear. They would like to see this more. And I know the Real Crime Center has also assisted with this. Mr. Manager, I know the governor has announced a website to recruit federal employees. Do we have anything that we're doing locally for Norfolk to recruit federal employees that have lost their jobs, maybe to be 911 operators? I'm assuming some federal employees were working in call centers and might have that experience on that. But do we have something specifically that we're doing to target in this area? Because I believe we have 56,000 federal employees in Hampton Roads, not counting military, that could be impacted by the government's cuts.
We do have a consultant helping us target specifically at military population for recruits, and we can look to see if we're able to expand that to military civilian or even federal civilian. Okay, great.
Chief, what can count? I always like to put the manager on the spot on this because we haven't seen his budget yet. So this is a good time to ask you. Is there anything that our council can do for you? I know you're going to ask for increase in salaries, but is there anything else that we can do to support our men and women that protect us every day?
Go for it, Chief. That's your opportunity.
So the manager has been a great advocate, and I'm. He's been a great advocate, and he is well aware of our priorities. We need. This is the hardest city in the region to police. It just is. It's the hardest city in the region to police. We have to compensate the men and women of this organization in a way that maps onto that. We've got to do it. I think we just saw the impact that public safety can have on a city, can have on a police department. If we wait too long to appropriately pay our police department, it can be dire. So as I said, the manager and I meet every week, and I'm confident that we'll be in the right place.
He is a politician.
Ms. Johnson, then Ms. Doyle.
Thank you. Chief, I want to say congratulations. You've been the chief of Norfolk.
Coming up on 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You have a lot of supporters, citizens who support, love the MPD. So thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
One of my questions was, I think my colleagues expressed the same question. How are we marking? Are we marking across the various states? And I think your answer will be yes.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
the other thing is, you mentioned the victim
Services unit.
services unit. And I know that it falls under your department, but I'm almost sure, and if you could confirm, that there are various partners within the city's department who are your partners to help you see this special unit through.
Absolutely, absolutely. We spend a lot of time working with partner agencies, as you know. And that's certainly going to be, continue to play a key role in how we deliver the right services to the community.
And I'm very thankful about the Real Crime Center.
Yes, ma'am.
And to hear that, as my colleagues have expressed, what does the council need to do to help you and the community be the best that you can possibly be? You don't have to answer me.
Then I won't.
The city manager, from your mouth to his ears to us.
Yes, ma'am.
But thank you for everything that you do for the city as well as the entire team.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Ms. Johnson. Ms. Doyle?
Chief, this is a great report. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on a regular basis now, 2 times a year to give us the data.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to commend your executive team as well, and frankly, all 540 that serve our city. It's amazing to see them out and about in the city, and especially when you come to Civic Leagues and your CROs are standing up. And for instance, I was at Larchmont last night and Officer Blakesley's there. And each time I go to these Civic Leagues, the reports get tinier and tinier and tinier, smaller and smaller and smaller, because there's fewer crimes to speak to. And so after that, I generally say, that's the best report you're gonna have all night, because it's the shortest and it's the crime report. So everybody should be really happy about that. So that's really wonderful. The other thing I hear, though, that I think we all do, is the speed at which people are driving around town. And I know when you came here last to share some information, we talked about, can we enhance speed enforcement? And I know that you're doing that in a very data-driven way, because I hear that from your folks saying, we're focusing in areas where the data shows that we have the greater hotspots for speeding.
Yes.
So I appreciate doing that, but just know that's a continuing concern of our residents. Bar none, every Civic League, people are talking about what can we do to make our roads safer for our drivers, our pedestrians, our bikers, et cetera. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
Thank you.
But thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, Chief, I'll be very brief. You know, as a council, we've set a policy to make public safety a top priority. And we set goals and objectives to reduce crime, and as you have noted, we can measure progress, and we continue to measure progress. You've heard from at least 2 council members, or 3, asking, do we have the people, do we have the resources, do we have the equipment, do we have the right pay scale, so we can continue to make that progress, and we're very serious about it because it is our top priority. As you know, this council supports public safety. Make no bones about it. We don't back away from standing and supporting our police department, our law enforcement officers, as well as our sheriff deputies. And we, as you heard, we express our sincere gratitude for your service, unwavering commitment, your hard work, dedication, more important to community engagement. Each and every day, you and your team, you're real on the front line and serving and protecting and keeping us safe, and we're very grateful. And because of that community engagement, you are truly heroes in the community. And so you said it right, your team takes 100% the credit for the work that's happening as relates to the measurable progress. However, Mr. Roberts will find the money to make sure that you continue to have those things that's needed because it is the top priority for our city. So on behalf of a very grateful city, I simply say thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you. We do have a report on Maury High School CIP project. I'll invite Robert Hudson, Vice President with Heartland Construction, as well as Mel Price, CEO and Principal of WPA Architects, to the podium to make a report.
All right.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Mr. Mayor, council members, city leadership, we appreciate the opportunity to be here. We're excited to be here. And since the last time that we spoke, we've gone through a couple different phases of this interim agreement for the PPEA for Maury High School. So just to recap, when we last spoke, we had just finished the programming phase of the new high school, and we had just transitioned into schematic design. At this point, we're about to make another transition. We're at the end of schematic design, and we're transitioning into design development. This is the last phase of the interim agreement. At the end of this phase is where we will reach a guaranteed maximum price, GMP for short, to finish the design and build the new Maury High School. So, going through the slides here. This is a slide that we've shared before, and this is the outline of the structure. And one important thing to mention that's not shown on this slide is that we're joined today by Brad Lowe with MVP, and MVP has been an instrumental partner. This project is only going to be successful if the communication, the collaboration between the city and the school board continues to be fluent, and we continue to work together. And I must say that on behalf of our team and with MVP's help, this process has been very efficient. And because of that, we've been able to really dive in and get to the root of what are the needs and the expectations of this new facility. So again, Brad, thank you for being here, and we appreciate the collaborative efforts on both sides of that. This slide has a lot of information, and I'm not going to go through all of it, but I do want to highlight a couple really important dates. The first of which is the June 27th date. We spoke about this briefly at the retreat, and this was the first community engagement meeting. And just to recap, we had that community engagement meeting, and we had very good engagement, very good representation from citizens, school members, staff, council members. It was a very intriguing process, and it gave us an opportunity to really connect with the community and really get feedback on what the expectations and needs are. So from there, if you go down to the September 2024 timeframe, that bullet on the slide, that enabled us to go through a series of workshops with the steering committee. These workshops were very involved, lengthy at times, but we were able to take all those concerns and expectations and really incorporate them into the design and the programming of the facility. The last date that I want to point out here is the January 30th date. That was our second community engagement meeting. That was another good turnout. We had very good representation from, again, school system, city, citizens, and we were able to share with them how their input from the first community engagement meeting was incorporated into the programming and the schematic design that we had developed to date. So again, that was very good turnout and very helpful for us to make sure that we're meeting the needs and expectations of the community for this new school. We do have some major milestones coming up, and most importantly is that transition I was just speaking of. We are now transitioning into design development, and the design development is kind of the bookend of the current interim agreement. And the deliverable at the end of that is the GMP. And if we present this GMP, the hope is that we can then enter into a comprehensive agreement to fully complete the design and construction of the new Maury High School. The last bullet point on this slide is that there is going to be a third community meeting. We have not scheduled this meeting yet, but the steering committee is working on the specifics of what all is involved in that and the topics that are going to be covered. So with that, pass it on to you, Mel.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Mayor, members of council, city manager. I'm going to walk you through the design as it is right now, which is to say 95% schematic design, and it is still changing. Right now, the team is back at the office. There are 30 architects and engineers working on updating this as we go. But I want to make sure everyone is oriented. This is the existing site here on screen, and you can see historic Maury in the foreground. That's Shirley Avenue right to the front. And then we're going to look at this in plan view now. And so I'll just describe what's on the screen here. You can see the historic Maury labeled number 1, and you can see that the non-historic portions of that building have been removed. Then to the north of the site along 20th Street is the new Maury High School, which stretches east-west along 20th and then comes down and forms a leg south on Llewellyn. Centered really on that school is our turf playing field that's multi-sport. You can see tennis courts just to the south of the athletics wing, softball to the very southernmost part of the site, And wrapping all around that are walking trails for the community through rain gardens, bioretention, putting resilience and environmental studies on display. Across the street, across Llewellyn, and you'll see 2 yellow arrows for raised crosswalks, so pedestrian crossings that are at sidewalk level, is the natatorium labeled number 9, right on the corner of Llewellyn and 19th Street, the baseball field labeled number 5, and then the practice field labeled 10. We also have track and field with all of the associated amenities, Ghent School in number 12, and parking all around the site. And I'll walk you through that a little bit more. I'm going to move quickly and then let you all ask us questions as we move ahead. So here's a bird's eye view, aerial view looking to the north. So you're looking towards 21st Street, and you've got historic Maury in the foreground and the new Maury High School to the top of the page. And then looking at it from the opposite direction, really from kind of 21st Street, looking back towards downtown. We've had many questions from community members, as you can guess, I'm sure, about parking. And what we've been really excited to be able to do is to save historic Maury, design a new high school, and get 40 additional parking spaces that are not currently there on site. So we have a better organized parking system with rooms for visitors, staff, students, community members, you name it. Bus drop-off actually now is off Debris and Washington Park, leading to less congestion for the community, and we have visitor spaces now available in the middle of that bus loop when the buses are not there. Furthermore, all of the trash, recycling, loading, all of that is actually fully concealed. You can see an arrow that runs north-south just to the left of the bus loop, so none of that is a nuisance for the community. Access and security is always a primary concern, and we've had a lot of questions just about, this is a tight urban site. What happens when a ball flies into the street? Here to show you that we have appropriate fencing and athletic fencing around all of the facilities to make sure that the site is safe from a site-wide perspective down to the school level. You may have had received questions from your constituents about the Ghent School. And these are pictures I actually took last weekend when we took a walk over in the snow. And what we've heard from the community is that there are 4 pieces to the Ghent School that are really important. As we shift the puzzle pieces around on the site, we need to make sure that we take care of the amenities that are important to the Ghent School and the Ghent parents. That is the basketball court, the playground for the older kids, the upper school, playground for the lower school, bottom right, and then the learning cottages or mobile classrooms in the bottom left. And here you'll see on the left, the existing Ghent School, and then on the right, I'm using the terminology of that community, learning cottages, but you can see that everything's been relocated on the right. We've not had a chance to run this by all of the parents and teachers and staff, but what's important to take away is that everything will be put back in place, and we'll just work with our partners at the city and Norfolk Public Schools to make sure things are in the exact right location. So on to the new Maury High School. Thanks to the great work of the steering committee, which is City of Norfolk staff, Norfolk Public Schools staff, everyone who's come out to these meetings, we have finalized the building program, the square footage, and the thing that's most exciting to us is that we have actually a little bit more square feet per student than originally anticipated because we've designed a really efficient school. We won't walk you through the floor plans, but wanted you to see, just in an axonometric level, what's important really for the school and to give back to the community. So upper right-hand corner in purple is performing arts. So those are spaces that community members might be coming to for a lecture or a play. Along the right-hand side, the athletics wing, including a triple court gym. And then right in the center is actually the cafeteria with breakout meeting rooms, and you can imagine using that space for community meetings. A lot of these spaces stack double height, And as you get to the third floor, you really get to the heart of the school, and you can see three separate shapes, which are the learning communities. And that's how we take a really large school for 2,064 students and break it down into smaller communities that make it small, comfortable, and really places where students can succeed and classes can flex. And you can see that stacks on levels 3 and 4. All of the design and architecture is really inspired by the historic Maury High School features. And this is a direct result of community engagement at both of our community meetings. So we analyzed the existing building and we set out to design something that really honors that building. So you can see a view here to the back of the school, as the community members call it, but what will be called the front of the school by the students. The students enter from the bus loop through that covered canopy right to the center of the school. So a view from the playing fields. You can see the athletics wing to the right. Importance that all of these are under redesign. We received some incredibly helpful critiques and comments from the Architecture Review Board 2 weeks ago. All of those updates are being made now, and we're excited to show you the next iteration. What you see in the foreground there is a walking track that's really just for PE classes. If you remember, the track and field is across the street. Tennis facilities here, just off the athletics wing. Really important to students, parents, and coaches was that the tennis courts this time were near the bathrooms, and here they are. This is a view up Llewellyn, looking north towards 21st Street. And so you can see how the character of Llewellyn changes as both the high school and the auditorium come to greet it. Just a few more images. This is the corner of 20th and Llewellyn. And 20th Street here, these are the areas that we're actually undergoing the greatest redesign based on feedback from ARB, and we're really, really pleased with the changes being made. This is important, the area between the post office and the school, just because that's where all of the service is coming. So deliveries are being tucked in there. There's actually a garage door that comes down, so none of those services can be seen. So we'll take you across Llewellyn to the natatorium, and it's been specifically positioned there to really assert itself as a community building as well as a Norfolk Public Schools building. And as part of our programming, we've had great discussions between Parks and Rec for the City of Norfolk and Norfolk Public Schools about a shared use for this building. So the thought is, as the joint use library and wellness center is being built on Newport Avenue, this could alleviate all of the swim team practices and meets. And so think of this as being for Norfolk Public Schools and also for City of Norfolk Rec Leagues. And it provides parking and amenities for all of those. So swim team central. 6-lane, 25-meter pool holds 2 to 250 visitors. And again, you can see how the school and the natatorium speak to each other across Llewellyn. It's a small one-story building, just under 15,000 square feet, and just meant to tuck into the trees. So all of this would not be possible with the 150 people that have come out for every community meeting. And when we talk about Maury, it's important to talk about really almost the whole city. Maury is served by over 30 different neighborhoods and civic leagues. And there's been individual outreach to all of them, as well as transportation provided by Norfolk Public Schools to bring folks to these meetings. Community engagement has been ongoing since 2018 and will continue through this project. And we're really thankful to the citizens who've come out. We have a couple of upcoming meetings, Ghent Task Force, Architecture Review Board hearing on the 24th, and then we'll set our next community-wide meeting. I'll turn it back over to Robert.
Thank you, Mel. Okay, so just briefly talk about schedule and next steps. So if you can see on the screen here, that vertical dash line, that is where we sit right now, and that's kind of that transition period from schematic design to design development. Just underneath that, you see a star that says established GMP. That's what we spoke about at the onset of the presentation. That's the bookend of the current interim agreement. From there, below the shaded line, there's a number of items, the first of which being, that's the process of completing the design and going through the permitting phase. And then, as you see below, which I'll have some slides to highlight the phasing, we're ready to go to work once we get through that process. And all of this is, we're projecting to have the athletic fields complete, which I'll show that on a slide in a minute, have those complete in the fall of 2026 for use for Maury High School. And then ultimately, if everything falls into place, having the new Maury High School open for the fall of 2028. So going through the project phasing. So these are the existing conditions, and if you'll notice on the screen, just north of the Ghent School, we have a box and some arrows. This is in reference to the slides that Mel shared with you a moment ago, that before work gets started, we need to take care of our neighbors over at Ghent School and make sure that we get their amenities properly relocated and operational so that they can be used for the students before we start our work. Phase one. Phase one is a large area, and you can see this represented by the dashed lines, and those dashed lines are construction boundaries, privacy fence and secure measures. And the idea of this phase is to start on these new athletic amenities while also starting on some of the earth improvements and earthwork associated with the new natatorium and the high school. Moving from there to phase two. When we get to phase two, you can see that now the athletic amenities are complete and open for use to the students of Maury High School. And the construction boundaries have changed to where now we're just focusing on the high school construction and associated site work. You'll notice that the boundary between the new work and the existing Maury, until we get the new high school open, we cannot take any of the square footage away from existing Maury, and we've taken that into account in our phasing plan. And that's what you'll see represented by that dashed line. Once the new high school is complete, we transition to phase three, and now you can see where that dashed line has changed. And in this phase, once we've relocated the students and staff to the new high school, we're able to perform the non-historic portion demolition, which enables us to complete the competition field and the remaining site amenities that include that area. After phase three is phase four, and that is what to do with the historic portion of Maury, which, as we're here today, that is currently unknown, but that is what we're representing here by phase four. And with that, we're open for any questions.
Thank you. Would you wish to raise your questions? Ms. Doyle.
Thank you for the presentation, that's great. Your visuals are really very clear, more than I've seen in recent presentations, so thank you for that. So a light question to a more serious question. Will the tennis courts be available for the community to use when not in use by the high school?
Sure. Yes, we actually had a really wonderful detailed meeting between Parks and Rec and Norfolk Public Schools facilities, and the answer is yes. And they even got down to who will sweep the tennis courts at what time if the gate's left unlocked. So yes, all of the athletic facilities are intended to be shared. I think the one detail is we're not sure about inside on the basketball courts and then the turf field, but all of the other facilities so far in the discussions have been intended as shared uses.
And of course, someone's gonna ask me this, are the courts gonna be striped for pickleball?
We did discuss striping the courts for pickleball. I'm not sure if we had a final decision. I think it's just standard procedure these days, but we can get a definite.
So you know that people are gonna want that.
Yes.
So you just might as well anticipate it and do it now.
Absolutely.
The front of the building that's fronting 20th Street,
Yes.
will people really know that that's the formal entrance? And I saw, you said that the ARB's asked for some significant changes, but not asked for changes when
Yes.
they saw it. Can you tell us what's gonna happen there?
Sure. ARB really asked for 6 key changes to better articulate the top, the corners of the building, the base, actually to reduce the proportion of windows. They wanted to see a little bit more brick. They wanted the 20th Street side to be a bit more pedestrian friendly and look a bit more like the back, where we had really the 3 sections separated by the glass hyphens. And then they wanted us to look at the corner of 20th and Llewellyn and make that more pedestrian friendly. That was difficult. Those are auditoriums and spaces that don't want windows. Nevertheless, all of those changes have been made. And so the 20th Street facade looks a bit more like the back with the white brick, the darker brick, and larger canopies. So excited to show you the next iteration.
traffic flow go down 20th? That's a pretty narrow street. I know people park on either side. How are we gonna accommodate that?
Well, the good thing is that 20th Street is not, it is not an entrance to the school. So the only, security planning for schools is very tight these days. So the entrance is what we would, as a community member, would say in the back by the bus canopy. What appears like a front entrance on 20th Street is not. It's actually an elevated art terrace for art students to go out and draw and paint. But visitors will not be coming in through that side of the building, which means traffic really shouldn't be impacted on 20th Street. To your point of how will people know it's Maury High School, ARB's comment about us needing to improve that corner actually led to a solution which incorporates signage and lets someone know moving down Llewellyn or 20th that this is Maury High School and they've arrived.
Get to the campus and access the quote
The
front
new
door.
address will be Washington Park.
Okay.
And so if you put it in a Google Maps or Waze, you'll be routed directly to the visitor parking off of Washington Park.
All right, Mr. Smeagol?
So thank you for the presentation. I don't have any hidden agenda. There's no competition between schools. I want our students to have state-of-the-art facilities. They're needed. So please don't take my comments as insulting anybody, I guess, for lack of better terms. So Mr. Manager, who is paying for the new Maury High School?
Local taxpayer.
Thank you. Okay. And who decides at the end of the day how much Maury High School will be funded, the new Maury High School?
Norfolk City Council.
So I'm starting off with that because I've expressed my concerns to both the city manager and to the mayor. And I understand you guys have to do your job. At the end, you're developing this. But nowhere in this presentation or any of the presentations that have been made to the public has the estimate of $240+ million been said to anybody on this. So I equate this to right now, the public presentations to everybody is like selling a Lamborghini to the public, and we might end up with a Mustang. And a Mustang is not a bad car, a brand new Mustang. They're actually pretty cool looking. But this is the same thing that I experienced when I first got on council when we did the 5 new schools, is that there's these community meetings in which folks come out and they give their dream of what their new school should look like without a real budget, okay? And I understand this process. But we're also in a different time of how much stuff costs. And so people get their hopes up. And this is not just school buildings. Sometimes we do charrettes and we do visioning processes of what Little Creek Road will look like and Ocean View Avenue with little town centers and cute people walking down the street holding hands and all that, but then it never happens. And my concern with this project is at the end of the day, it's going to be the Norfolk City Council that's going to look like bad guys when we can't fund $240 million plus building, and then things have to get value engineered out. And then Courtney's folks and Jeremy's folks will end up beating us up and saying, we're not getting the best school possible. Just my concern. I know I was not at the presentation, but I talked to folks who were there. And budget never comes up at any of these meetings, and it never comes up who's paying for this. We have school board presentations that make it look like that the school board is paying for this building, that the school superintendent's budget is $700 million plus, and it includes the cost of Maury High School, but it is us paying for this, and it's coming out of the budget that we have to vote for. And so I don't know where to go. We really, before even this presentation, we should have been having joint meetings with the school board to talk this through about what the future is for Norfolk Public Schools. Because still to this day, while I know the superintendent has presented through the consultants a consolidation and right-sizing plan for the school system, there still has been nothing voted on by the school board on the closing and consolidation of schools to save money to be able to pay for things like the brand new Maury High School or all the other modernization that's needed at multiple schools. And so what ends up happening is we get pitted against other communities, for example, the Booker T folks saying, why aren't we getting a brand new school? Because we can't afford it, by the way. They are getting renovations, which is great. There's $45+ million being spent on Booker T. But there's a bigger conversation that needs to happen here. And I know that the school board just voted on new leadership, but we should be having these joint meetings. I know, Mr. Mayor, you and the vice mayor and the city manager have conversations, but there's a bigger conversation here. For example, let's talk about Ghent School, okay? And I'll get beat up by folks. What is the purpose of that school, okay? It's a very small, outdated building that has a K-8 school in it. It can't even really service the middle school kids that are there. I believe those mobile units are the music classrooms because they don't have a band room in it. So those conversations with the school board should be, should that program move into another school building that could handle it so that we can actually tear down Ghent and give Maury High School even a bigger facility for sports or additional parking for those things that are needed. I'm going to support what we can afford, and we don't know yet on this. And I think some of the additions and changes are probably going to increase the price a little bit on this. I think it's the same conversation with the natatorium. I hear about the joint use agreement, that the way that it's been operating is the school system's been responsible for it. So I'd really like to see in writing that it is Parks and Recreation that will be managing that facility to provide equity for all student athletes to use it, not just one school, because that's not what's been happening with it. And so if it's true that Parks and Recreation is going to be running this and that all 5 high schools will have access to that pool to use for practice, I want to see that in writing before I vote on $11 million, which is what it's going to cost to build, $10 million, whatever, to build this natatorium. So there's a lot of decisions, because I'd rather spend that money on Military Circle and put a new recreational facility on the east side with a full service pool in it, just like what's happening on Newport if we're going to spend the money. So I'm very opinionated about this. I watch all the presentations. I've looked at it. I do see some fluff inside the building because that's dreams that when they met with staff and other people said, this is what we want. The question is this what we really need in the future of Norfolk Public Schools? Just as much as we talk about, do we need 5 high schools anymore in Norfolk? The school board just had a presentation done to them about Lake Taylor High School being a comprehensive technical school. That hasn't been talked about in like 5 years. And when they tried to bring it up when Mr. Clanton was on the school board, it got squashed. And now they're coming out with, I think that's another $200 million project at Lake Taylor High School. So when these conversations are happening, they're not happening joint with all of us, the people who have to vote on the decision of funding them. We've got to move to a bigger conversation. And I would really like to hear this school board come back and say that we're going to close and consolidate the schools to save the city. And I think it was about $80 million plus in operational costs that could be applied then to these dream schools. My final point is I saw in your phasing, there's going to be an issue with student parking. So you're taking the student parking lot that's currently being used by Maury students, and that's in the second phase. So where are you planning on moving all of those students to park? Because they have a lot of drivers at that school.
So we're still working through those details with the steering committee. One important thing about that is, with this project being the size that it is there are a considerable amount of construction workers that will be a part of that. And in our experience, it has been best to set up security boundaries, guard shack, security fencing, and keep workers away from the we don't want them intermingling with student staff and during parking times and throughout the day. So we're going to work through those details with the steering committee, and that boundary may change. It's a preliminary phasing plan, but we're trying to be very conscious about making sure that we create our own little world in that construction project to stay isolated, not to interfere with school operations.
And finally, Mr. Courtney and Jeremy, for you, one thing that I'm worried about is there's still people on the school system side and school board side telling them that we're saving the old Maury High School. And we still haven't voted on that. There hasn't been anything to us or them telling us that we're telling people they're going to turn it into apartments. And that hasn't been formally discussed by us. So I worry for you guys, because if a decision down the road is made to do something different with that school, right now, I think most of us would like to save it, but we don't know. I'm worried that, once again, that's getting out to the public, telling the public what could be happening when we haven't had those conversations. So, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for your presentation. My thought is that there needs to be more discussion with City Council and Norfolk Public Schools. There are many decisions that we have been working on from the city side and planning our communities that we're responsible for, where there are schools that need decisions to be made. And we're not just talking about 2 or 3 years. We're talking about 5, 6, 7 years where we haven't had a decision on what we're going to do as far as consolidating or closing schools. So from my perspective, and I have expressed to the city manager and his team that we're gonna move forward. And it may include that we go around some schools, because I can't get a decision made from the school system, but it's impacting the city's growth in Ward 3. So that deeply concerns me. I think that we also need to have more discussion, because there are still many questions, unanswered questions with the citizens. If you're asking, and Councilman, thank you for bringing up the $240 million that it's going to take to build the new Maury, it belongs to all of the citizens, not just a certain group, not just a certain ward. It impacts all of us. And I'm glad to hear that you say the amenities that are going to be at Norfolk, at Maury High School, that it is to belong to all of the citizens, and that the citizens should have access to what we're building in Maury High School. But that is not what is getting out to the community. It seems as though it's my, and it belongs to certain communities within certain areas. It does not. And I think that we need to make that very clear, that the $240 million belongs to all citizens, no matter what your background is, no matter what income you bring in, you are still taxed, and it belongs to all of the citizens, and they should have access to every amenity in Maury High School. The other thing is, it was brought up about the old Maury High School and what the plans are going to be. As far as I can only speak for myself, I am not in agreement, and I have made that very clear to my city manager, that once again, the citizens' money be spent on any part of what the plans are for the old Maury High School. We need to get public and private partnerships to address the old Maury High School, not a burden on the citizens of Norfolk. And lastly, I would again suggest to my mayor, to my vice mayor, and to my city manager that we move forward in having more meetings with Norfolk Public Schools, because there are a lot of decisions that need to be made. There are many things happening in our ward, new housing, brand new communities coming up. and we still have not addressed what needs to be addressed. And I would also like to recommend that it be put in writing that the citizens clearly understand that Moore High School belongs to the citizens because it's their money that is paying for the new Moore High School. Thank you. Thank you,
Anyone
Mr.
Yes, Mr. Clanton, then Mr. Page.
Did you?
Sure, mine's gonna be very brief, Mr. Clanton. All I would like to say, city manager, is equity.
Yes.
And I don't think I need to divulge on that. Thank both of my colleagues for speaking before me. And Tommy, you really brought up some good points. Well said. Courtney, we've talked several times for me to get correct on exactly what I mean when Moore comes up. For those that don't know, Moore was the first high school that I went to in Norfolk. Let's leave that there. No questions after that. So I'm very fond of the blue and orange. I remember my blue and orange polo shirt. But I was fortunate enough to grow up in several neighborhoods in this city. All of them didn't go to Moore. If we don't get this right, this council, as far as equity and understanding our citizens, not just our thoughts or what we're pushing on the people, if we don't learn how to listen, systemic things that got us in the place that we are, that were done in the past that have not been addressed, we're continuing to move in that direction. We're doing good with the dialogue, but we're falling short on the action part. When I speak, I'm not anti-Moore. I just want us to be aware it's going to come a time when we're going to need a new Booker T. It's going to come a time when we're going to need a new Granby High School. And we're setting a precedent here with what we're doing and how we're spending money. And I just think, like everyone has said, we need some more discussion because that's a whole lot of money. And there are a lot of things that our citizens, whose tax money this is, have to say that are not being heard as it is to this. And we can't just hear what those that are in favor have to say to be successful. We have to begin to take consideration into those that have concerns, particularly when it's their money. We are not being served by them. All of us ran for office to serve them. So when we come back, we're not just giving you our opinions, our thoughts, our beliefs. If we're doing the work and we're standing in our community, what we're reporting back is what the citizens that we represent are saying, because that's what we're here for. And I just think that we could do a better job of having dialogue and bringing us all to a consensus. I think a consensus can be met if we take the time to do the hard work and meet with those that traditionally we don't want to meet with because they are talking in ways that most people aren't accustomed to hearing people express themselves. And sometimes it's because of trauma or years of being forgotten or not dealt with. Our city has a rich history, and most of it is good. But there are some times where some things were done that we have not addressed or attempted to correct that still impact the communities that we serve. And if we are going to do the jobs that we all signed up to do, and we're going to work on the deconcentration of poverty that's being pushed, we have to consider all these things. Because when we spend that kind of money, you have to think about the types of things that we need in the city that are not going to happen.
All right, Mr. Clinton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm reminding in my head, as you reminded me, I'm on council now, not on the school board. But I do bring a perspective. And I totally agree that we do need to have more meetings with the school board. Because honestly, we need to, big picture, not just buildings. That's the after part, but really looking at, and as I sat on the school board, talking about career academies and some of these other things which would create equity around the school division, get rid of attendance boundaries, making sure that we do everything. But I do want to point out a couple of things that in 2021, we voted on a capital improvement budget from the school board that came here, and that was to build a new Maury High School, which had a dollar figure, I think about $185 million. Was to renovate Booker T. Washington High School, was to build a new Jay Cox Elementary School, was to build a new Norview Elementary School, and a new Granby Elementary School. It had a different funding formula as to how we do that, and that formula no longer pretty much exists. And so that set us back. Of course, we had COVID and some other things that are in there. But there was a plan and there was a number that was out there. But yeah, I think, Mr. Smigiel, you mentioned it, as we keep, at one point in time, as we're not making a decision on something, these things get more and more expensive. And so I think that's where we now have this $240-some-odd million price tag with Maury High School. It's because we just haven't moved on it and a decision there. And I think from what I'm hearing from the guaranteed maximum price, that will come to us and give us what that number will look like. Doesn't mean that that has to be the final number, because ultimately this council has to make a decision as to what we're going to do. And I totally agree with with my colleague, Ms. Johnson, in the respect of what was presented to the community was the unsolicited PPAE, which had Maury, the physical building of Maury High School being something else done to it. And so I think that that's what's out there, not that there are individuals who are kind of propagating that, but that was what was put out there. We turn that into something else when we build a new school. And so I just think at the end of the day, we've got to have more conversation because there has to be a unified decision with the school board. I know that the consolidated plan, I was pushing to get that done. We were supposed to have that report in December, Mr. Mayor, to be able to be presented, and that did not happen. And so, from my understanding, looking at board docs for the school board tomorrow, they're supposed to be voting on some people from the community, reestablish their commission to review these things there. But I would hope that in that interim, that this council will have a joint meeting and that we can really do some of those things so that we're on the same page. Because at the end of the day, council has to make the decision as to what those dollars are going to be to support that, and we have to answer to the taxpayers of the city of Norfolk around that. I think there's a lot of great work that's happened in there, and I know when I walked in 2018, as a member of the school board, there was a big old comprehensive educational planning that was given, and so this wasn't kind of pie in the sky that this is what we said that was going to be. So I encourage us to ensure, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, and others, that we have this meeting with the next, hopefully we can have one in the next 60 days if possible with the clerk, get that scheduled, to have a joint meeting, because we haven't had one in a while, just so that we can level set for where we're trying to go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Thomas, would you like to say anything, sir?
I'll ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Are affordability options being included in your proposal? So if we come and we can't afford $250 million, are there options that y'all can propose?
We are, and actually, if you watch the upcoming Architecture Review Board meeting, we want to build some of those things into that process. So you'll see parts of the renderings that will, we want to be very transparent with ARB. We're still in pricing, so you'll see some choices there, just in case, just to give the city and Norfolk Public Schools some space to make those decisions, so that we don't strip things off later and we're giving clear visuals as we move through the process.
Well, thank you both, but before, Mel, you leave, I want to just really thank you for being here today. And it shows your dedication and commitment to the city, because today is your birthday. And I will ask all of you to join me in wishing a happy birthday to one of the kindest, most compassionate, hardworking, and one of the most helpful persons that we have in our city, Mel Price. All right.
That's all we have. So we have a motion for closed session.
I move that members of City Council formally assemble and formally in a closed meeting February 25th, 2025 at 4:50 p.m. at the 10th floor conference room of the City Hall building, the City of Norfolk, set out in Clause 8 of subsection A of Section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended. Clause 8, consultation with legal counsel concerning contractual matters in the city where advice of our counsel is needed. Mr. Clanton.
Aye.
Ms. Doyle.
Aye.
Ms. Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. McGee.
Aye.
Mr. Page.
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel. Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Dr. Alexander.
Aye.
We're in closed.